Hey, what's up everybody? Dude, before we even get in this video, I want to say two things. One, I love you guys, okay? I would never do anything to hurt you. So if this video, you find offense to it, just know I didn't mean it. And the second thing, I love Apple, okay? I love every single Apple device. Almost every single thing I own is Apple related. I have the watch, the MacBook, the everything. So I don't hate Apple at all, okay? And on top of that, I've owned pretty much every single iPhone. There's one iPhone I haven't owned personally, but I'll get to that in a different video. And all those iPhones pretty much push the boundaries in some way, except this one. And that iPhone is the iPhone 5C, which in my opinion is the worst iPhone Apple has ever made. Starting off, this is the most blatant thing. It wasn't even much of an upgrade from the iPhone 5. And literally, in fact, they were pretty much the same exact phone. And strangely enough, I ran a benchmark on my iPhone 5 that I have too, and I compared it to the 5C, and the iPhone 5 had a higher score. Now, I'm not saying benchmarks are everything, but that's kind of weird, and they're running the same version of iOS and everything as well. And speaking about iOS, the iPhone 5C came out at the same time that the iPhone 5S came out, which was 1 year. So the iPhone 5 came out in 2012, the iPhone 5C came out in 2013. So following the iOS lifecycle and everything, the iPhone 5 was supposed to end at iOS 10.3.3, but the iPhone 5C should have ended at iOS 11.3.3 or whatever they're going to name it. And it didn't. The iPhone 5C stopped getting support at iOS 10.3.3, and that's because the iPhone 5C was just an iPhone 5 with a different casing on the back. It couldn't support iOS 11, so they had to leave it at iOS 10.3.3, which kind of makes me upset because honestly, every single iPhone is supposed to get 5 full versions of iOS, but they kind of skimped out here. Now, a huge selling point of the iPhone 5C was color. This phone came out in different colors, there's blue, white, red, all that stuff. I don't even remember anymore, which is honestly super clever by Apple's marketing. They were able to take a 1-year-old phone and put a new back on it, and literally people ate it up and they bought it. And apparently people didn't even like it that much because it didn't feel as, I'll get to that in a second, but Apple is just so clever, dude. Like they're able to do this kind of stuff, and I love them, but like it's so crazy how people bought this. And Apple ultimately was able to convince everybody that buying a 1-year-old phone with a new back is something new. Imagine if like Samsung or someone did this. I mean, I'm sure they've done it in the past. Another minor thing, it's not a huge thing, but the iPhone 5 was discontinued when the iPhone 5C was announced, okay? Which is so dumb if you think about it. Like, what was the point of discontinuing it? But the crazy thing is, okay, and this is kind of nitpicking, but for me it's kind of a big deal, is that the iPhone 5C at the time was only made in 2 capacities. It was made in 16 and 32 gigabytes, okay? But the iPhone 5 was made in 3 different capacities, which was 16, 32, and 64 gigabytes. So Apple took away that higher option in order to give us another phone that felt cheaper with less storage on board. Like, it's just so weird. Like, they should have at least added a 64 gigabyte option. I mean, think about it. Like, at this time, especially 16 and 32 gigs, that's not really a lot. And on top of that, once the iPhone 6 was announced, they discontinued the 16 and 32 gigabyte variants and only sold the 8 gigabyte variant. Like, legit, Apple didn't know what to do with this phone. Like, they were legit just like trying to think of something like on the spot. They were like, oh, let's just sell the 8 gigabytes, and they totally discontinued the higher options. Why didn't they just discount the higher options instead of doing, I don't know. Apple knows more than I do, but that's just so weird that they did that. Honestly, I said this kind of earlier, even comparing the iPhone 5 to the 5C, when I'm holding both in the hand, the 5C feels so much cheaper. And at that time, I'm sure people could have gotten a used iPhone 5 for the same price, maybe a little bit cheaper than the iPhone 5C. They're pretty much the same exact phone, but if I'm looking at them, the iPhone 5 looks just so much better. The iPhone 5C actually does look more like an iPod Touch or something than an iPhone. And at that time, for $100 more, you could have gotten an iPhone 5S, which was a much better phone. And we all know that the iPhone 5S, even though it is on iOS 12, it's a lot more, I guess, of a safer phone than the iPhone 5C is, just because of the iOS software. And who knows, maybe the iPhone 5S is going to get iOS 12. It's still kind of up in the air right now. We'll find out in June, but still, dude, like at that time, I feel like people did kind of get a little bit ripped off because they got an older phone for $100 less than their flagship, most expensive phone. So those are just some reasons why I think the iPhone 5C was the worst iPhone ever made. Again, I don't hate Apple. My main phone is an iPhone. I use it every day. I love it. I just find it weird that they did this. Like, I don't really hear anybody talking about it. And the more I look into it, like, honestly, the more confused I get. But I'm not part of Apple. I'm not associated with them. So I don't know what they were thinking. People at Apple are much smarter than me. So I'll just leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think, though. Do you guys think the iPhone 5C was the worst iPhone? And some people might say, oh no, the first iPhone was the worst iPhone. You can't even use that. I can use the iPhone 5C. That's not what I mean. Like, the iPhone 5C really didn't bring anything to the table, where the first iPhone brought everything to the table, So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. That'll mean so much. We're trying to get to 40,000 by the end of this month or next month, and then 50,000 by June, we can make it happen, guys. Let's just hit that subscribe button, make me feel better. Subscribe to my second channel. I drop beats on there every day. Feel free to use my music in any way. Just give me credit. That's all I ask for. Lo-fi Alpaca. Links in the description and on the sidebar at my channel. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.